Welcome back to this episode of For Chix vs. Netflix. I'm Ava, and here I'm joined by Maria, Ellery, and Rory. And today we're going to talk about my pick for a movie, Kid Gorgeous, with John Mulaney, and Sherlock. We're going to start off by talking about our favorite movie snacks. Mine would be peanut M&Ms, probably. Yeah. They're super bad for you, but they're good.
You know, I don't really eat during movies, but if I had to say, probably my favorite snack also that I eat during movies occasionally are Pringles.
Okay.
I have an unhealthy obsession with Pringles.
I would say my favorite movie snack is popcorn, because I could eat like 6 buckets and be fine.
Ew. What about you, Rory?
My favorite movie snack is Junior Mints.
Oh, good choice.
A solid choice.
So I chose John Mulaney's Kid Gorgeous because I thought it was very light topic. It always is very entertaining, and it's basically him talking about his work experience working at SNL, the different characters that he met there, what it was like writing for the show, and little quirks about his life, little stories about growing up in Chicago and his marriage life with his wife Anna. So now I'm going to ask you guys, what did you guys think of Kid Gorgeous?
I thought it was hilarious. I've seen it like multiple times already, but I loved watching it again. One of my favorite jokes in it is about his English degree, where he says he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to be told to read Jane Austen, and then he didn't. So it was that is very much like, any college student can relate to that. And I love how his comedy is very relatable. I don't know what sketch it is, but he also has a joke where he's like, yeah, so I was just driving with my wife, and I was spacing out, and then I realized I'm going 75 miles an hour on the highway, and I'm not paying attention to the road.
I normally don't notice people. I zone out constantly. Have you ever just been sitting there thinking about something for like 20, 25 minutes, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm driving, and you remember? You're like, I'm going 75 miles an hour. I have been for a while. I could have changed so many lives.
Just anything he says is very, very relatable, and I love John Mulaney, so.
I also think just in comparison to some of the other things we've been watching, they're a little more serious, a little more dark, and so it was just like a nice, like, sit back, relax, laugh a little bit, and enjoy.
Yeah, it was a good break.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Much needed, I think.
Yeah, I really like John Mulaney from his work on Big Mouth, the Netflix original. And I thought his comedy special was really good. And my favorite joke he does, which he also did on SNL when he hosted that one time, was the robot thing, where you spent half your life proving to a robot that you're not a robot.
The world is run by robots, and sometimes they ask us if we're a robot, just because we're trying to log on and look at our own stuff. Multiple times a day. May I see my stuff, please? I smell a robot. Prove you're not a robot. I've devised a question no robot could ever answer. Which of these pictures does not have a stop sign in it? What? You spend a lot of your day telling a robot that you're not a robot. Think about that for 2 minutes and tell me you don't want to walk into the ocean.
And the voice he uses, it's like, I smell a robot.
I smell a robot.
It's so funny.
Was there anything that you guys thought was kind of edgy for him? Like, I thought the political bit when he was going into, like, the guy who's a president, it's like a horse loose in a hospital.
This guy being the president, it's like there's a horse loose in a hospital. It's like there's a horse loose in a hospital. I think eventually everything's gonna be okay. But I have no idea what's gonna happen next. And neither do any of you, and neither do your parents, because there's a horse loose in the hospital. It's never happened before. No one knows what the horse is gonna do next, least of all the horse. He's never been in a hospital before. He's as confused as you are.
I thought, like, I think every comedian has his own style of talking about politics, and especially because I'm obsessed with SNL. I have been since I was like an early teenager, so it was very reminiscent of SNL for me. So I wasn't very much surprised by what he was saying, because SNL is all about like Alec Baldwin is Donald Trump and Matt Damon is Brett Kavanaugh, making fun of everyone all the time, every day. And they're even they make fun of both sides, but they tend to make more fun of Republicans. But honestly, like, it's so funny. So him saying that was just kind of like, okay, SNL is kind of like impacting him a little bit, but he puts his own spin on it, and I liked it.
I feel like talking about a horse in a hospital is detached enough from the subject that, like, people, even like, you know, centrist people on the left and maybe even on the right, can still find it funny. Mm-hmm. Because even for people on the right, a lot of these moderate Republicans are just not ready for this horse in the hospital, as he says. So, you know, I think that taking it away from being specifically about the person and just making it, you know, into this metaphor kind of makes it more accessible to different audiences.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Whenever you make I think whenever you make a joke, but whenever you make a political joke, you're always going to have people that disagree with it or people that don't find it funny. But I think that he does it in a way that, you know, you can still laugh, or at the very least, if you don't agree, you can appreciate the humor behind it.
I think even his joke earlier where he talks about the guy who came in, the private detective who was like, you know, don't get kidnapped, you know, teaching stranger danger, being taught by someone you don't know. Even I thought that was like, you know, kind of going into some edgy territory, but you know, he did it in such a lighthearted way, and he really like used the stage very well when he was just like dashing across the stage, was like street smarts. And, you know, yeah. He really like invited you into that like that awkwardness.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you guys like dislike anything, or do you have any notes, anything that you wish he might have said, or anything that you wish he might have not said?
Honestly, I think John Mulaney's really smart, especially when he gets into stuff about his wife, because a lot of comedians will beat up on their families and their wives and husbands and significant others in general, and I think he does it in a very smart way. He always says, like, I have my wife's consent for saying this, or like he praises her but then, like, you know, jokes about her. So I think he's very smart, and he has an interesting approach to a lot of different more controversial, if done the wrong way, styles of jokes. So I honestly don't really have any like bad things about him in general, because I think he does a really good job.
I agree with that. I think even like the jokes that are like you said, controversial, he goes about it in such a lighthearted way that you like, and such like a like respectful way that I think I have no like complaints about it. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed it.
Same here. I don't have any complaints. I think it was a very well-rounded sketch special, or I should say, a stand-up special. What I did think was interesting was the introduction, where he walks in and, you know, you have this Igor-like character like walking him into the studio, and you have the organ playing ominously. And I thought that was a really creative way to like introduce him.
So next we're going to talk about the show that I picked, the Sherlock series on Netflix. I really enjoyed the show because it's based on Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes mysteries, but with a modern twist. So he uses a cell phone, he has a crime lab and everything, and I really enjoy seeing this new take on the famed detective with the funny hat. So here's a quick trailer for the show.
Who are you? What do you do?
What do you think?
I say private detective.
When the police are out of their depth, they consult me.
Got anything?
This is his hunting ground, right here in the heart of the city. Why didn't I think of that? Because you're an idiot.
This is my friend, John Watson.
Friend? Colleague? That's how you get your kicks, isn't it? You risk your life to prove you're clever.
Shut up.
I'm saying
You were thinking. It's annoying.
you like the funny cases, don't you? The surprising ones.
Obviously. The game, Mrs. Hudson, is on.
Time to play.
Oh, I am playing.
My name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street.
Sherlock, Sunday at 9 on BBC One.
So we're going to talk now about Sherlock, and I really like this show. I thought Benjamin Cumberbatch was a really good addition to the show, and now I'm going to ask, what did you guys think about it?
I watched the show with my mom, which was an interesting experience because she's read the books, she's probably watched some other Sherlock-inspired media, and I haven't really, and so she was very vocal about Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Sherlock, and I guess more like how he was written. She was like, Sherlock's not a prick. And she also...
I disagree.
That was based on her view of the books.
Okay.
She thought he wasn't a prick in the books. And
Dumbledore didn't say, Harry Potter, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire? He didn't yell it, he said it softly, so it's all up for interpretation. You know?
Just change things.
Yeah, just change things. Anyway, I'm sorry.
she was also a little bit dubious about his status as a sex symbol.
Yeah, that was a lot. That's a lot.
out there.
So, but yeah, my experience watching it, I liked it. I liked the first episode. I thought the pacing might have been a little slow at times, but I thought Watson was portrayed really well, and I thought his portrayal of PTSD was realistic and sympathetic, so, yeah.
I like. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I like how they took a classic and put modern spins on it. You know, it like really just brought it into its time period.
I thought his portrayal of Sherlock Holmes was unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was done very well, but I also think it was better because they actually had British accents. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that played a big part for me, because the only other Sherlock Holmes I've seen, because, you know, I don't read, the most I read is, like, subtitles on the television, and so the only other Sherlock that I've seen is Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. And, you know, I thought they nailed it, but then I saw Benedict Cumberbatch play him, and I was like, wow, like, really being English puts a spin on it, you know, like, understanding the history. The show, I think, adds a lot more twists and turns because it is a longer, you know, you can do more with a series than you can do with a movie. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see, especially in the first 2 seasons. I religiously watched it for a long time with one of my friends, and, you know, we talked back and forth. It was really fun. So it's the fact that it's very engaging and it keeps you interested for the longer period of time made me happy. And it's funny and it's serious, and they mesh up all these different themes very well, so very interesting. I like it.
I think the sign of a good show is when it's ending and you're like, that's it. Like, we don't have more time left, like, because the time just went so quickly, and I found that watching it, like, it was ending, and I was like, there's not more?
Yeah.
I mean, there's another episode, but, like...
It didn't feel like an hour.
It did not feel like an hour at all.
It was an hour and 23 minutes.
Didn't feel like that either.
Felt like an hour to Rory.
Felt like an hour and 23 minutes to Rory.
It's fine though. I do a little bit worse with longer shows unless I'm truly interested in it. So, like, I've seen Sherlock before, but I did rewatch the episodes we discussed. And it also felt to me like it was an hour and 23 minutes, but that was only because I saw it. I remember some episodes dragging longer than other episodes, but honestly, you're gonna get those. You know, you need that plot, you need that story. So I was happy that with the episodes that we watched, because it was fast-paced. There was a lot of information thrown at you in a good amount of time with a good amount of background detail. So they do well with a longer length of time, which some people can't really do.
Do you guys think that that they portrayed the characters well?
Yeah, I liked seeing Sherlock and Watson's chemistry develop over time, and how Watson starts being kind of on guard, and then he kind of trusts Sherlock more, and how they from a distance at the climax of the episode they have to work together and kind of know intuitively where they are, because Sherlock's locked up with this guy who's offering him the 2 pills, and he's I'm stalling, and he's trying to think about where Watson is. Of course, Watson's looking for him, and so I thought there was a good build up to that moment.
I think they do what House does in a longer time period, like
House MD.
House MD.
Okay.
Basically, if you don't know House MD, it kind of goes this whole hour, and then he finds out what's really wrong with the patient at the last 5 minutes of the show.
We have a patient with the plague. The Black Plague? Looks that way.
Sherlock does the same thing, but you're actually offered more clues. And so, you feel like you're figuring it out with him instead of House, who's a genius, and he just figures it out, and you're just what is that? So with Sherlock, you can kind of make predictions in your head, and when you're wrong, you're oh, I missed that! And then you rewatch it, it's oh, I'm an idiot! So it's, very interesting how it's almost interactive with the audience, which I like, because I like to feel like I'm helping. So it's nice, I think they do a really, really good job, like Rory said.
Yeah. I liked how, in contrast to the movie, with Robert Downey Jr., where they had all these little, visual clues, they would show you the things that built up towards the end conclusion. In this show, they, like you said, they had him going through the process of solving the murder, and then it kind of made sense to you at the end. Mm-hmm. You could see how he comes through that conclusion versus oh, yeah, okay, I didn't know I was supposed to be paying attention to all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I like that bit.
For me, I feel I'm not a person who religiously watches mystery shows, so I kind of find it hard to follow, and especially Sherlock really makes it so that you really have to be on the edge of your seat, because he sees things so quickly and he sees things that other people don't see. Mm-hmm. And so I personally feel I'm being dragged along sometimes by the plot, but I'm okay with that, because the characters are interesting, and so yeah.
Do you guys want to do a rating for the movie and the show now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. First up, Kid Gorgeous.
Okay.
And
8 thumbs out of 8.
Yes. So far tying with Rory's.
Oh, I didn't realize this was a competition. Okay.
Can be if we wanted to.
Ready?
Okay.
We got, what is it now?
Next
Sherlock.
up for Sherlock.
We got it
completely out.
I think we have 7 thumbs out of 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I put 1 to the side just because I guess for me, I was watching the show religiously, and then it tapered off in the last few seasons for me. So obviously that happens with every show. I know shows that have gone on for 11 seasons, but they do a really good job. That's why I put 1 thumb up. But on the side, I don't, like Rory said, I don't really watch mysteries all that often, so I can understand why I lost interest at one point or another. But for the most people, it's yes. So.
Well, coming from the opposite perspective as someone who's never watched the show before, only seen the first episode, I just thought the first episode was really well done, but I just thought the pacing was a bit slow during the climax. I think they dragged it out a bit too long, and I was just there waiting for Watson, step in already, make it end. So, but otherwise, I liked it a lot.
I gave it 1 thumbs up, 1 to the side. I liked it. It was interesting. I enjoyed watching it, but I also don't watch mysteries a lot, so it's one of those things where I couldn't see myself getting into it and watching episode upon episode,
Yeah.
You got a 7/8
Yeah, I was like,
I didn't even know that.
I was like,
yeah.
unsure if you were.
I didn't want to give it all the way to the side because I'm like, for people who like mysteries, it's good. But I'm just not one of those people, you know.
This is your opinion.
Yeah.
We don't care about those other people. This is for Chix versus Netflix, not the world versus
So that was our episode on Kid Gorgeous and Sherlock. Join us next time where we're going to be talking about Ellery's Choice.
So for my picks, we're going to be talking about the movie that was released on Netflix starring Michael Keaton. That's called The Founder. It explores the McDonald's story and how it was created into one of the largest food chains in America and worldwide. And we're also going to talk about the critically acclaimed miniseries on HBO, Chernobyl. Finally, I'm very excited. So tune in next time. See you later.
Bye.